In this video, I am going to translate the function y is equal to absolute value of x to get this new function, which is negative 1/2 times absolute value of x minus 2 minus 3. We start off with the function y1 is equal to absolute value of x, which is the given function, and then we go through a step-by-step process to derive this function. And we do translation and reflection to get to this final function. So let's go ahead and do it one by one. The step 1, or in this case step 2, this is my step 1, is to get to absolute value of x minus 2. It's an inside change, meaning the change is inside the absolute value, so it's going to have a horizontal shift, meaning either it's going to move the function to the right or to the left, graphically of course. Now since I'm subtracting 2, meaning it's going to take the original graph, which is at 0 0, this point at 0 0 is going to move it to 2 comma 0. Now I'm going to have exactly the same kind of thing. That's what it is. So now my y2 is going to be absolute value of x minus 2. Now what I am going to do, I am going to multiply it by 1/2. The effect of multiplying this y2 by 1/2 is basically making the function go up, go up slower, yes. So which makes the function flatten. That means the effect of this is going to be this. Is going to be wider. Remember, if you are multiplying a function, so on the side let me take it here, y is equal to f of x. If you are multiplying a function by a positive constant, these are the two things can happen. So if you are multiplying it by k, where k is between 0 and 1, which in our case 1/2, right? So it's going to flatten the function, stretches horizontally. So horizontally stretch. On the other hand, if you multiply it by a constant k greater than 1, it's a vertical stretch. Okay, so these are the two things. So if I were to multiply this function, this x minus 2 by, let's say, 2, instead of this being wider, it's going to be narrower. So it's going to be something like this. So let me just draw a sketch here just to show you. This is not part of, this dotted one is not part of the graph. So let me continue. Next step is to come up with a new function that's going to be reflecting this one. Oh, by the way, let me write down this, my y3, which is 1/2 times absolute value of x minus 2. Now it's going to reflect this one, this function, so which is basically multiplying it by -1. So I take this function and multiply it by -1. The effect of this is a reflection of this. So it's going to be my y4 is equal to -1/2 times absolute value of x minus 2. Remember, if you're multiplying any function by a -1, in essence you are reflecting it about the x-axis. So we are reflecting it about the x-axis. Think of it. If you originally had 1 for y, now it's going to be -1. If you originally had 2 for y, it's going to be -2. So from top it goes to the bottom. From above the axis it goes below the axis. Below the x-axis. From above the x-axis it goes to below the x-axis. That's the effect of multiplying by -1. Now this is almost there, so we are right here. The one last thing is to subtract -3, which is an outside change. Remember, outside change makes the function move vertically, meaning it either moves up or down. If you add, it moves up. That means if you're adding a positive constant, the function or the graph of the function is going to move up by that many unit. If you subtract, it's going to move down by that many unit. In our case, we subtract 3. That means we're going to take this point and move down by 3. 1, 2, 3. So my new point is going to be 2 comma -3. So it's going to be the exact same function. So let me use a different color for this one. It's going to be the exact same. So my y4, which is just y, this one, right, is going to be y is equal to negative 1/2 times absolute value of x minus 2 minus 3, and that's my final function. So what we have done here, let me summarize. We have started off with absolute value of x function, which is this blue function, and then translated it to get to this final one. What we did, first we moved the function to the right by 2 units, and right by 2 units, which is this one. Then we flattened the function by multiplying it by half. That means it's horizontal stretch. We horizontally stretched it. Then we reflected the function about x-axis by multiplying it by negative 1 to get to this negative 1/2 times absolute value of x minus 2. Then we moved it down by 3 units to get this, which is the final function. Okay, I hope that this discussion was helpful. Thank you very much.